I've always thought of myself as an academic within Mormonism, but it's not appreciated by a lot of LDS leaders. They like to say, hey, we love questions, but then when you actually bring up the questions and they raise a few unanswered questions, it's not welcome. And so I found that I was isolated in my LDS path because I wanted to talk doctrines of salvation. I wanted to say, hey, but, Lectures of Faith says this, and then Journal of Discourses says this and this. Well, those are all the past prophets. We're only talking about now. We don't want to discuss those things. And so, but all those things were said. They're done. They're in the historical record. And so it became very troubling to me that the perspective was only focus on this modern version. Don't worry about the past. It's not the way to do it. You need to be able to reconcile your history. And you need to be able to have confidence that the people of the past and the doctrines of the past were true and that they were inspired of God. And if they weren't, the foundation has serious cracks. And that's what I discovered as I compared the history of the church, the records of the church, right, with the modern version. Mass discrepancies. And at some point, it was too much. For years, I'd bridged it, doubted my doubts, right? But the chasm became too wide, right? And so I'm looking at this chasm, and then in the backdrop, I've got Christianity, which is here saying the grace of Jesus. Jesus made salvation very straightforward. He didn't tie it on lots and lots of conditions. One of the primary examples I think of is a man that hung next to him on a cross, right, and said, this day you'll be with me in paradise. It wasn't, let me give you a list of 50 conditions and interview you every other year, right? He made it straightforward and simple, and that's how his gospel is and is supposed to be. And that's what you find in a mainstream traditional Christian church, not a church that's developed hundreds of conditions and modifies their doctrine based on what source you're looking at or what authority you're talking to. It's a bedrock, a foundation that you can truly rely on instead of a moving target. And who knows what the theology and the doctrine will be next year because they can change anything in the record. That's what you find when you discover Jesus in mainstream Christianity.